All right, well, it's Tuesday of our second week of this trip. I don't remember what day it is. I think it's day number 9 or something of the Mall family road trip. Getting ready to leave Sheridan Lake here in South Dakota in the Black Hills. It's really beautiful. We want to stay another night, but we're going to move on down the road and stick with our reservations because the 4th of July holiday is quickly approaching. Today, we're going to go to the reptile gardens. We're going to the Badlands. We're going to Waldrug and then on to Lewis and Clark Lake. But we are going to talk about saltwater pools, pros and cons, what's good about them, what's bad about them. Is it the right thing for you? So get ready, because that's our subject for today. All right, so the first thing you got to know about a salt pool is a chlorine pool. Think about the ocean. How much life is in the ocean? A salt pool is a chlorine pool. That's the only way you kill any living things in your swimming pool besides you, your pets, and your loved ones. It's basically a device that takes the salt and splits it into sodium and chlorine, and then that chlorine goes into the water just like your regular chlorine does, and does what chlorine does, sanitizes and oxidizes, except instead of you artificially putting chlorine that was manufactured at some factory far, far away and is now scarce and really expensive, you have a miniature chlorine factory on your swimming pool. When you get it, it takes a little bit of work to put one in. They run about average somewhere around $1,500 to $2,200, somewhere in that $2,000 range to install one. But over about a 5-year period, it does cost about the same as chlorine. The cool thing about a salt cell is that you have a little more control over the pool chemically, especially if you have a cartridge filter that you're not backwashing water out of the pool. So for me, I really like it in that it's very much a more controlled environment for the swimming pool. I have more control over what chemicals are in my pool, what the levels are, and it's much better in terms of control. All right, while I wait for Ginger to drag Willow kicking and screaming out of the Reptile Gardens gift shop, in this moment of quietness, let's take a few more minutes to talk about salt cells and what the deal is. A lot of service and repair techs are intimidated by salt cells. It's not something that is common or that they're used to, at least here in the United States. You guys down in Australia, salt cells are the norm. You guys have been doing this for 40 plus years. You guys are the originators. Most of you guys down there know what the heck they're doing with salt cells and how cool they are. Something else to know, in addition to the fact that a salt pool is a chlorine pool, is that salt cells don't last forever. They are not as permanent as a pump would be or a filter or something like that. It's not a permanent thing. Those cells wear away. The coating on the titanium plates of the salt cell wears off, and then the titanium itself starts to corrode over time. The other thing is it does need to be maintained. In the process of the chemical reactions that happen to split the salt into chlorine and sodium, you get a very, very high pH alkaline environment. And what this does is it causes the calcium and total dissolved solids and different minerals in the water to eventually collect on the salt cell plates themselves, and they will cake up with minerals. Those need to be cleaned up about every 2 or 3 months. One of the cool things though is there are some products out there like Easy Care Butech, which helps to minimize this and is sort of a saltwater conditioner. Borates in the water can also help with this. Boric acid, I've done a video on that. You guys have probably seen it. Boric acid, very beneficial to salt cells in that it helps to manage the sodium hydroxide, which is the sodium byproduct that's created as the salt is separated, which can cause some issues with pH and things like that. So there are some things we can do to minimize the maintenance on our salt cells, but there is no way to get around the maintenance. If you maintain them properly, if you're checking your salt cells every few weeks to every month, and you're adjusting it, then it's going to work really well. The other thing to know about salt cells is they don't work in cold weather. For those of you guys that close your pools for the season, it's not a big deal. You're going to get more life out of your cell. For those in places like Las Vegas, Arizona, Southern Texas, Southern California, where our pools run year round, when the water gets down to about between about 50 and 60 degrees, the continuity of the water changes. What we're looking for is a good solid, imagine you know, when you go to the science center and they have like the ball you put your hands on and you get the streams of plasma. So imagine that's electricity moving across from one plate to another in a nice steady stream. That's what we want our salt cell to do with the water in terms of our electricity. A nice steady stream of electricity going back and forth between the cells, and that separates the salt out and does what we want it to do. When the water gets cold, or you have too high a salt or too low a salt. What you get is more of a thunderstorm effect with lightning bolts, where you get charges jumping violently across from cell to cell. The charges build up and then boom, it discharges. That's really hard on the cell and it's really inefficient. So most salt cells are designed where too much salt, too little salt, we're gonna shut down. Too cold, we're gonna shut down, things like that. To give you perspective on how much salt you put in the water, chicken soup is about 4,400 parts per million. The human body, blood, your tears, runs about 9,000 parts per million. That's what saline is, 9,000 parts per million. The ocean, 35,000 parts per million. Salt Lake there in Salt Lake City, Utah, about 317,000. And the Dead Sea is somewhere close to 400,000 parts per million. In your pool, you're gonna be running your salt cells right between 3,000 and 4,000 parts per million. So about 1/10 or so of what the ocean is. So again, with salt cells, is it a good thing to do? Well, right now, over a 5-year period, the salt, wow, that's a loud horn. Buying a salt cell is about the same price as doing chlorine tablets for a pool that is open year round, like pools in Arizona. So it's kind of a toss-up cost-wise on what the way to go is. You know, if you like the feel of salt, but you just don't want a salt cell, throw a couple bags of salt in your pool. That works too. You can just do that and it doesn't affect the water chemistry in any other way other than to add a little more minerals to the water that leave your skin feeling a little less dry. Bottom line is, for me, I dig the salt cells if you're doing the maintenance and you're paying attention, you're staying on top of it. They work really well because we're not adding chemical byproducts that come in trichlor tablets, dichlor, in sodium or calcium hypochlorite tablets in granular form. We have a straight pure chlorine going in the water, and we can really manage the other water chemistry better. And so that means less water drains in your pool. All right, guys, those are my thoughts on salt chlorine generators. Overall, a decent value if you're going to take care of them, if your pool tech is going to take care of them. If you want to stay tuned and see what's going on for day number 8 here of the Mall Family Road Trip, stick around for more of that. But again, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. We want you guys on board for more great videos. I've got more days on this trip coming up with more great topics. All right, on to our crazy day. Let's see here, the Reptile Gardens, Wall Drug, the Badlands, and into Lewis and Clark Lake near the Gavins Point Dam, right between South Dakota and Nebraska, coming up. It is. Made it to the infamous Reptile Gardens. So amazing.
Huh? Did I just... What's this? Gorgeous sight.
What'd you guys find?
A lizard.
Nice.
It blends in. Oh, geez.
Looks like my head itches.
Was like a tunnel and go all the way under. I didn't realize it stopped.
Just like somebody, go kiss him with fire. Oh, there we go.
So that's it, I'm out of here. You win, Uncle.
Josh.
Yeah. Any trains coming?
I don't see
What
any.
is that?
That's a train track.
Cleaner?
Yeah.
Car?
Over here, Miles. Yeah, they are.
Yeah, here we go.
Just keeps going.
There's a man in the funny papers we all know. He lives way back a long time ago. He don't.
Where are you headed? Nowhere. It looks like you're going somewhere.
Goats. Cold, wind, and hunger made their bodies.
You see the babies,
begin to
Willow?
shut down. Dehydration.
Right outside your door, window.
Fatigue muddled their minds.
Hey, you ridiculous goats. You look like you have diseases, especially those tiny ones. Is that a cell phone on your neck?
They built slowly.
Probably little trackers. There's one sitting on that rock ledge out there. Do you see him?
Yeah.
Moshi!
Hello, birds.
Oh, he's hiding up there. Oh. Goody.
Alright, I'm following you.
River Quartets made up of LaDonna, Eric Alexander on tenor, Peter Bernstein on guitar,
Yeah.
Phil Farnsworth on vocals. This is Jazz Nightly on SDTV Radio. Good evening.
There's a
It'd be great to
camel
have you
up
along
there.
for tonight's edition of the show.
Yeah, it's a
I'm with you
wild
from the
camel.
Janet and Beyond Tour Studio in Sioux Falls. Coming up,
Let me do one. Let me do one. Let me do I think I would get that.
Come on, let's go, guys.
Baby Yoda.
Let's go. You find what you needed?
Yes.
Good.
No, I didn't get what I.
No, we're not getting any junk food.
I'm not getting any.
Good, let's go.
I'm not.
Let's go. Let's go. You have your fruit.
Not
You have your sandwich. Take your sandwich. You ready for the final push to our final destination tonight?
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you want me to drive?
I can drive. I'm not sure for how long, but I can at least buy you a nap.
All right, fair enough. Willow, what are you doing? Put Mama's phone down.
Doing some stuff for.
She's like,
Turd.
I'm playing Pokemon
Fluffy's
Go.
like, are we going to bed? Is this our campsite? Is this gas
Can I
station
go
where we're
bed
going to live now?
please?
The hell are you taking us, Ginger?
I'm proceeding to the route.
Turn left onto 409th Avenue.
We're supposed to be on a highway.